right, we're live. Cool. 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to the Stay Weird Show, episode 3, I'm pretty sure. And it is my pleasure here today to introduce you to...
Tony D.
You! Tell us a bit about yourself, Tony.
Well, I am Tony D, a singer from Brisbane, born here, raised here. And I do some pretty big gigs when I can. I do government events, corporate events. I've done major big fundraisers for charities. Done the Lord Mayor's Christmas carols here in Brisbane a couple of times. And I'm not doing any of the big stuff. I'm out maybe visiting the aged care and healthcare places, singing for residents and clients. And when I'm really not busy, I'm busking.
Busking keeps you pretty busy, though.
Yeah, it can do. I haven't actually had to do any for, nearly a month, I think.
And is that just because of the gigs you're getting?
Yeah,
Awesome.
I've been busy.
It's this time of year, hey?
Certainly is. All the Christmas parties and whatnot.
Nice, mate. Fill us in on what's been going on.
Oh, well. It's been a while since we've caught up.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
So Tony was actually the catalyst. Meeting Tony was actually the catalyst in me prioritizing this whole Stay Weird thing at number one in my life, ahead of work.
Wow.
And that, although it's taken me a long time to actually make the jump, but meeting you that day just, coincidentally, and then filming you, and then I went home and I saw you on Instagram, and then I saw that whole Rio Olympics promotion, and I'm like, what? And that really spoke to me, that yes, you can.
Yeah, the Rio Olympics, Paralympics thing. I got to sing the lead role, and the song was an old standard called Yes I Can by Sammy Davis Jr. And it was supposed to be like the station promo for Channel 4 over in England to say, hey, watch the Paralympics on Channel 4. And they sort of made it available to other networks around the world, like 7 over here, who were showing the Paralympics. And the thing went viral on the internet. So next thing you know, it's everywhere. And it took a while, but it eventually convinced me that, maybe I could do this music thing all the time.
So yeah, how did all of that come about, and what were you doing before that?
Before I was working at a church-based financial institution, really small one.
Okay.
In an office.
Not singing.
Not singing. Well, not as a work thing. Anyways.
Not for anyone other than your wife or in the shower.
I used to sing at church.
Yep.
So there was that, and I even got to be in charge of the singers for a while. But it was all low key. More of a hobby than anything. And then I got this weird message one day on Messenger from this lady. Said she was a casting agent and she was working with Channel 4 to make this ad. And I actually thought it was a joke. But they'd seen a YouTube video that my wife had put up years before that.
Yep.
And it was just me singing an open mic night. And they liked it. They said, we're doing this ad. We have a song in mind and we think your voice would suit it based on what we've seen so far. So would you like to learn it and send us an audition video? Yeah. And so I did, and eventually got the part.
How long was it after sending in your audition video to finding out that you got the part?
The first message was in February, and I think it must have been somewhere around March that I did the audition video. We just did it on a little camera like that.
Yep.
With me in the local park. My wife did the filming, and then it was supposed to all be happening in May. And so this is March. We're doing the video, sent it off. Didn't hear anything for a while, like nothing, but didn't hear any decision for a while. But then I think it was no more than 2 weeks before we were supposed to leave, we got told, it's happening.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'd already gone out and got passports and got luggage just in case.
Just prepping.
Yeah.
It would have been pretty exciting, all of that anyways,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So they told you that you've got the part and that you're leaving in 2 weeks.
Yep.
To go to London to film it, yeah?
Yeah, to London. So they flew my wife and I over. Put us up in a really nice hotel. Hadn't been to London. Hadn't been really much anywhere. Like, I'd been to Singapore. I'd been to the Philippines a few times. And Vanuatu once. So all in the Asia Pacific area.
Yep.
Yeah. Nowhere really far. And London's certainly great. When I wasn't filming, I was doing all the touristy things I possibly could. But yeah, we were there for 3.5 weeks, and filming I was involved in 12 days of that because I was in a lot of scenes.
Yep.
But when I wasn't, I was seeing everything that I could.
Do you have any standout moments from that trip that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, I liked going to the museums. Went to the British Museum, although we did have a fire alarm go off when we were there, and got evacuated. Turned out to be nothing, of course, but
as they generally are, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could have really been anything from a false alarm to a bomb threat. So who knows? When you're actually going through it,
too, that stuff can be pretty scary.
Yeah. So we did that. I did the Natural History Museum. That's really good.
Okay.
Yeah. The first weekend we were there, we went on the eye, the big wheel.
Yep.
Yeah, that was nice.
Got the city views.
Saw the whole city, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And got great weather most of the time we were there.
Yeah, around that time, hey?
Yeah.
April, did you say?
May.
Yeah.
May.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so it was 12 days of filming all up.
Yeah.
And is that full days, like 8-hour days, or?
Some of them were 14-hour days.
Yeah, gotcha.
But yeah.
It would have been a very professional setup, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Everybody from the director right down to the runners and the gaffers and, the whole crew were just totally professional.
You would have met some amazing people doing that.
Yeah, well, we met a few of the athletes from the Great Britain team.
Yep.
And some overseas athletes. We met, there was the other musicians, the guys from the band. Most of us stayed in the same hotel because we were drawn from all around the world.
Yep.
There were 3 that were fairly close to home, so sometimes they commuted. And there were fellas, half of them from the US. There was a Canadian bloke. There was 2 of us from Australia, although the other Australian was originally Kiwi. There was this group of people drawn from everywhere. As I said, us musos, we got to stay at the same hotel. We hung out. We went out for dinner together. And these are every person who you will see in the video is a person with a disability.
Yep.
So that includes the musos, the athletes, but it's not just a thing about the sports, and it's not just about the music with me singing. It's everybody. It's mums and dads, it's little kids.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's a pretty powerful,
very powerful
advertisement,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it was featured on.
It moved me so much
Bruin.
when I first saw it, and especially in regards to the stay weird thing, it was like a lot of people who had faced a lot of adversity throughout their lives too, so I was like, oh, this seems like the right path.
Yeah, I felt the message was like really affirming of an Aussie thing actually, which is to have a go.
Yeah, give it a crack.
Give it a crack. Give it a good old try. Never assume what you can or you can't do. And it was very much, you don't know unless you've tried. So, yes, I can is, I guess, the most positive way you can possibly say, well,
yep.
I certainly don't know I can't until I've given it a go.
100%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I took that message as to get stuck in to stay weird straight away when it was like, yes, you can. I'm like, okay, let's go.
No, great film clip.
Oh, it's amazing.
It was a lot of fun to make.
Did you do any of the stunts yourself?
Let's see. The first one, we're on a big stage with the band, and I have to go down a ramp like that. It's a pretty big ramp, let me tell you. They brought it out towards the stage and had me look at it. And I said, yeah, I think I can do that. And then they had 4 big guys lift me in my wheelchair up to the top of the ramp, and then suddenly it looked a lot different from the top.
As it generally does.
They said, don't worry, we got your stunt double organised. And I actually did have a stunt double. His name's Rick. He's a pommie. And he kind of looks like me from the neck down, but nothing alike from the neck up.
Okay.
So there was a bit of trickery going on there.
And is he actually in a wheelchair also, or is
he is?
Yep.
He doesn't use it 100% of the time, but he has mobility and pain issues, which require him using a chair quite a bit. I guess the main difference between the two of us is that his hairstyle is very different. I've got the standard short back and sides. He's got a mohawk.
Okay.
Or had a mohawk at the time, at least.
Did he shave it for the bit? Or no?
He is in a couple of scenes where you'll see this guy from the back, and he's just grabbing stuff off the shelves in the supermarket, and that's Rick.
Okay.
He's also in a scene in the dance hall where he's doing some spinning, dancing with a partner.
Yep.
And so, he did this thing where we had to go through a glass window down a set of steps. And so I'm whizzing along on the stage, and I put this crash helmet on, and everything up to that was me. But as soon as the helmet's on, it switches to Rick.
Yep.
And he goes straight through this window.
So that's how they cover up the mohawk as well.
Yeah. They also sort of put my head on his shoulders where they need to.
Yep. Deep fake.
Yeah. Something like that. Deep fake without the voice.
Yep. And did you see him go through the window?
Yeah.
Did they get it on the first take?
Yeah. It's the sort of thing that you want to.
100%.
You want to nail it the first time.
No, let's go back through that glass window.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you keep in contact with any of those guys still?
Oh yeah, I see a lot of them on Facebook.
Okay.
There's Jonathan. He plays electric guitar and piano in spite of having no arms.
It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
I really wonder about the roadmap to getting to that skill level with his feet.
Think, well, I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
Maybe just seeing somebody else doing it and saying, well, I refuse to say that I can't do it.
Yeah, that's it, hey. Make it happen.
Yeah. He's from Brazil, and
is he?
He got to perform at the closing ceremony of the Paralympics.
Amazing.
So that was cool for him. We didn't get to go to Brazil, which was kind of, all right. I understood why.
Yeah.
At the time, it wasn't particularly considered the safest or easiest place for people to be that didn't need to be there.
I think it's always been like that. I think it's still like that. That's Brazil for you.
Yeah. So,
but it is an amazing place. I will say that Brazil is fucking amazing.
I liked the footage that we saw out and about when the Paralympics and the Olympics were on. You see Copacabana Beach, and you see the big statue of Jesus, all the sights, because they tend to show you those when the games are on TV.
They do. You always see the best parts. Yep.
Yeah.
So that was back in 2016.
2016, 5 years ago.
And that has obviously, that event kind of shifted your life in a different direction, didn't it? In terms of musically.
Well, like I was saying, took a while, but I was back in the office and I was starting to get invites to perform here and there. The first two were for the welcome home events for the
Yep.
athletes.
I imagine initially after that advertisement blew up, you would have had like a big storm of people just coming at you, yeah?
Yeah. So we came home towards the end of May. They were doing post-production on the video.
Yep.
They contacted us in June and said, we'd like you guys to come back for the launch. So we went back to London. They actually flew us business class.
Love it.
And we had this launch party at Channel 4 headquarters. They had all these people, about 300 or 400 guests at the party. Big screen, showed them the ad. Then Adam Hills, who was co-comparing for the party,
Yep.
he said, and now we have Tony and a couple of the band members to perform for you live. So we did the song as best we could with the 3 or 4 of us.
Did you know you were going to be performing
Yeah,
live?
that's the whole reason for the trip back.
Okay, awesome.
But yeah, we did that, and Adam said, how'd you like to come on the last leg tomorrow night?
So
we
what's the
did.
last leg?
Oh, the last leg is Adam Hills is an Australian comedian, but he's based in London now. They started this show called The Last Leg because he himself has a prosthetic foot.
Okay.
And the show, The Last Leg, was at the time about the Paralympic Games. It was like a nightly commentary. So it's comedy. It was, let's look at what the athletes were doing, all that sort of stuff. It's evolved since then into a weekly show that covers comedy and current affairs. So, and it had done by that stage as well. They have guests talking about political stuff and whatnot, you know, ripping off the government and all that sort of stuff. But
All the good stuff.
yeah, they Adam invited us to come on the show. We said, yeah, why not? So live British TV Friday night. The next day, I got pulled up on the street by a young lady who says, "Weren't you on that ad? Saw you on TV last night."
That would have been a pretty surreal experience,
Yeah,
I imagine,
'cause
at first, hey?
Being on the other side of the world from home
for sure,
and
right?
being recognised.
Yeah.
So yeah, they actually then flew us home first class because they couldn't find a business class flight for us.
Yep. How was that flight?
Oh, awesome!
You would have felt like a king.
Yeah, you do. You get basically a bed, pajamas, slippers, and the meals come out when you want them to.
Yeah.
And anything that they've got on the menu for the whole flight,
It's your
you
plane.
can have it any time you want.
You should have tried the fly thing.
Yeah, maybe wouldn't have made it home. But yeah, we're getting back to the office. The launch was in July, middle of July. It sort of didn't come out to Australia until August.
Yep.
So Channel 7, first I saw of it, I'm sitting in my armchair kind of like this, watching the Olympics, dozing off, and all of a sudden I hear my voice. And I'm like, whoa, that's me. And then I called out to my wife in the bedroom, hey, I'm on TV. And she came out and we watched it and we're like, wow, this is going to be big.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that's when all the interest started happening, and I got the breakfast shows ring me up, and I got the online publications, press. I got a few radio stations ring me for interviews, and yeah, that's when the invites to sing started happening, and yeah, the first two being the welcome home event for the athletes in Sydney, and then up here in Brisbane a week later. Actually, it was just outside here, City Hall.
Yep. Good to be back.
And then I got an invitation to perform at the National Disability Awards in Canberra with a fella called Lauren Nicholson. He was beside me playing guitar, and
I know that guy. He's blind. Yeah. He came to our school when we were younger.
Yeah, great guy.
He rode his bike around Australia or something also.
Yeah. So we did that. Started doing, like these fundraising dinners and such. So there was inroads there in both the sports community and the disability community, and especially if they crossed over.
Yep.
And then there was invites forthcoming from overseas places like Singapore and New Zealand.
And did you ever take any of them up?
Oh, yeah. Hold me back.
Why? Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
You get a chance to travel at somebody else's expense.
Milk that cow, hey?
Yeah. I call it riding the wave while it's still there, because it may not be there forever.
Not wrong.
So you enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah.
It's like, I have this philosophy that good things and bad things, they happen, but they won't always be the way they are.
Yep.
So if you're really enjoying stuff, enjoy it while you can. If you're not enjoying stuff, just hold on. Wait, it'll get better.
It's a good bit of advice.
Yeah. Life changes. But no, I did the trips. I went twice to Singapore, once to New Zealand. Took my wife on most of the trips.
Awesome.
And she's really enjoyed having that lifestyle until COVID sort of interfered with that. But before COVID, about 6 months before, we got the chance to go to America. We went to San Diego to perform at a gala fundraising dinner for a group called Challenged Athletes Foundation.
Yep.
And they basically gave us 2 weeks there. Said the second week's just a holiday, mate. As part of the sort of negotiation of fees and stuff, they said, we want to give you X amount of dollars. And I said, how about X minus, but instead of the money, you give us 2 tickets to Disneyland and a way to get there.
Yep.
And they did. So we got a little bit less money, but we got a trip to Disneyland.
And did you enjoy that trip to Disneyland?
Oh, yeah. And my wife, super loved it.
Yeah.
And then, the night that we actually did the gig, which is in the middle of the stay, somebody came to me from the organisation and said, how would you feel about coming to New York in 6 weeks? I thought, oh, yeah, all right.
Just, let me check my calendar.
Yeah, check the calendar. Yeah, I seem to be clear. So we actually flew home first, but then we flew back to New York later. I think that was June or end of May.
How long's the flight to New York?
It's long.
Yeah.
But we knew it was going to be long, so I said, can we just have stopover to change planes or whatever in Hawaii?
Yep.
About halfway. And they said, yep, no worries.
Did you spend a couple of days in Hawaii or just
we ended up staying
in the
overnight on the way back only.
Okay.
It was just a change of planes on the way too. But yeah, we got to stay at the Hilton at Waikiki Beach. Got to see Waikiki Beach the next morning.
Lovely.
Yeah. And that was the last international trip we've had for a while.
Just before COVID.
Yeah, 6 months before COVID hit.
When will it end?
I reckon
it's coming to an end anyway.
It's getting better.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And did you do any, voice classes or anything like that before?
Oh, yeah, back when I was singing at church.
Yeah.
I decided to do voice lessons because I was going to encourage all the team members to do them. I thought, well, I can't ask them to if I'm not.
Yeah, that's it. Lead by example.
So I did. And I hadn't discovered swing, which is what I generally sing at that time yet. I started out doing like show tunes from Phantom or Les Mis, that kind of stuff, musical theatre. I said to my teacher, nice songs, but they're all a bit depressing, really. I'd like to try something happier. I had a Frank Sinatra CD, brought it along, said, can I try this? She says, yeah, all right. And I just took to that sort of style of music naturally.
Yep. Yeah, it suits you really well, you know.
Yeah, which is why they liked the thing for Yes I Can. They wanted my voice because they thought it would suit that song, which it turned out it did.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well, mate. The shoe fit.
Yeah. I was doing some of those early trips to Singapore, for example, and New Zealand. They were just trips of a few days or a week, and I was getting time off from the office. Time off that I was owed for either annual leave or long service.
Yeah.
But I started to get a bit sick of having to continually balance the two. And I thought, well, why couldn't I just try singing and not do office work? And that was December 2017.
Love it.
So that was a year or so after I'd done the ad. And I talked to my wife about it. She was very, very supportive. And we thought, why not? So I actually quit my job in January the next year. And I've only been doing music to earn a living. And really I've been, apart from the difficulties with COVID, I've been earning as much as I was.
Yep.
With less hours of work and more enjoyment.
There you go. That's a win-win, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I was working about 24 hours a week in the office. I don't think I could do that with my voice.
Yeah.
But I can certainly do the 12, 15 hours I do.
Yeah.
For a week. So, yeah.
Not bad at all.
Mm.
And what was I going to ask? Yeah, so when you first made this jump, was busking on the table, or were you just trying to get gigs?
I had done a little busking as a hobby, so it was there in the back of my mind. And I sort of had a figure in mind of what I needed to get to break even. And before COVID, I was easily doing that, without busting a gut.
Yep.
Without doing too many hours of work. Obviously, the gigging is a lot more, it's easier and it's more money than the busking. Wouldn't say the busking's always worse, but it's so variable.
Yeah.
Like it can have a bad hour and get like $10, or you can have a good hour and get 100.
Yeah.
So it's really, really up and down, and you just sometimes can't pick it.
I guess you never really could.
No.
The best thing you can do is what you're doing and go during the peak hours, yeah?
Yeah. I try to go early morning when people are going to work, or sometimes in the afternoon when they're going home. Christmas holidays or any school holidays are generally good anyway.
Yep.
If I'm, go head down near South Bank, which is where I saw you last, and I can see families there, especially weekends, holidays. But weekdays, it's generally here in the city because that's where the activity's going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
The first time you busked, was it difficult? It seems like to get over the social anxiety of it all and to actually start singing in front of people and things like that.
I've had to get used to it. I must say I'm better in front of crowds than I am in front of little groups.
Yep. It's a little less intimate, I guess.
Yeah, it is. And the biggest crowds I've done would be the Christmas carols here in Brisbane, 2018 and 19.
How big are those crowds?
Well, it's at the River Stage at the Botanical Gardens.
Fairly big.
You got a big hill in front of the stage.
Yep.
People pack it out. There's like 10,000 people there.
Boom.
And then there's more people that couldn't get in.
Tony D. Tony
I don't know if they're doing that, but they have to watch it all on a big screen.
Yeah.
Because the gates get locked. So there's, more than 10,000 people there, and I've done that twice. There was outside the front of the Sydney Opera House.
That's an amazing
Australia
experience. What year was that?
That was 2017, not long
Yep.
after I did the ad. And that's 5,500
Yep.
in the forecourt of the Opera House. But yeah, it's the smaller gigs that sometimes make me nervous, or getting online and doing something like I did yesterday for Christmas.
So what was it yesterday?
I just did a little online Christmas concert.
Okay.
I'd had some people express an interest, and so I thought, well, let's do it. I'm not doing anything that particular day, and I've just had a really busy week last week, so I've gotten over that. It was just like an hour of Christmas carols.
Yep.
On my Facebook Live.
Yeah.
And pretty low key. But yeah, there's not that direct audience engagement that I really like.
Yep.
And really feed off. So that makes it a bit more butterfly inducing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Takes you out of the moment a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. What else?
What have you been up to lately apart from the gigs? You said you've been having a bit of a roller coaster.
Oh, I'll tell you one horror story.
Yep.
And one good story. Okay, we'll
Perfect.
start with the bad news. It starts off not too bad. I play para ice hockey.
Okay.
Yeah. Or at least I was. I was playing a game back in July, and I sort of got collided with on my right side.
As I imagine happens.
We play on sleds.
Thinking of ice hockey.
With
okay.
2 sticks, pushing ourselves along with the pick end of the stick.
Yep.
And I got crashed into on the right side, and my left arm collected the goalpost, and it broke.
You broke your left arm.
The ulnar
Crazy.
of my left arm.
Welcome to ice hockey.
Yeah. We went to the hospital, and here I am thinking, that's going to put it in a cast, and I'll go home, and she'll be right, mate. Nope. There was no way I was going to be able to get around at home.
No, I imagine so.
They put me in a cast up to here.
Yep.
And our place isn't really suitable at the best of times. So, we force ourselves to make do. But I couldn't have done it with one arm and no legs working.
Yep.
So I had to stay in hospital for 7 weeks. 6 of those in the cast.
Fun times.
Yeah. So I had the big cast on for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then I had a shorter cast on for 4 weeks.
Yep.
And then I was doing a week of just getting used to moving again. So that was all really interesting during times that we had then, because there were a couple of quick lockdowns.
Yep.
No visitors.
Yeah. And how did your wife manage through all of this? Because you said she has a disability also.
She has a disability too. She did not enjoy it at all mentally.
Yeah.
And even after visiting one day, she got on a bus and ended up tipping backwards out of her wheelchair, banging her head, and she called me, and I knew something was wrong as soon as she said my name, because she never just says my name. And I said, "Where are you? What's wrong?" And she said, "I'm in the emergency department at the Royal." And I was just across in a new hospital called Stars with my broken arm.
I was about to ask what hospital
just
were you
around
in?
the corner.
Yep.
So she's calling from around the corner at the Royal in emergency. So I was actually able to go across and see her with a bit of help.
That would have been comforting for her.
Yeah, it would have been. It was. Yeah, so there was that. That led to, of course, not being able to work for that length of time. And it was just a good thing that I was able to get some insurance through the hockey club.
Yep.
Didn't cover all the income that I'd lost for that time, but covered some of it. And with the whole COVID thing, we've had the ability for us last year to draw some of my super out earlier, so we didn't starve or anything, didn't get kicked out of a house.
Nice.
And then as soon as I safely could, we sort of got back into working.
Yeah.
But yeah, now the good story was after. I think it must have been after I got out of hospital. Oh, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was before I went in. I met a guy, which I kind of compare a little bit to yourself.
Okay. A legend.
A legend. He is a legend indeed. His name's Trent Dalton, and he's an author.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I did not put two and two together at the time.
I know
he's
that
actually
guy.
written several very good books that are very well known.
Yep.
He saw me over at my spot near South Bank, and he randomly asked me, "Can you tell me a love story?" It turned out he was writing a book of love stories, and whereas he met me over there, I think that was near where he parked the car. But he would go into the other spot that I often busk at near King George Square, on Adelaide Street, just under the bus shelter. He'd set up his chairs. He had 2 chairs, one for himself, one for a guest. And he had a sign which said, "Sentimental writer looking for love stories," or something very like that. And he would just meet random people from Brisbane and ask them for their stories.
Yep.
And he's actually written the book since, published it, and Caroline and I are in it.
Awesome. How good is that?
Yeah, we got to go to the launch. Book launch was actually, again, here at City Hall in the big auditorium. Yeah, so you meet some interesting people just from doing what I do.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Just getting out there and getting amongst it, you know?
Yep. And like he was doing, he was just meeting people.
Very cool. Trent Dalton, I'll have to look up some of his other books.
Yeah, his first big one was called Boy Swallows Universe.
Ah, that's who it is. Yes.
And then he wrote
I've started that
another
book and
one.
haven't finished it.
Yeah, I know a couple of people who've said that.
Though it was a really good book as far as I got.
Yeah. No, he wrote another one after that, which was more positive, because Boy Swallows Universe was a bit autobiographical and was a bit dark in places, but he wrote another one. Then he's written this third one called Love Stories.
And is it like a compilation
It's a
of a lot of
compilation
little...
of everybody that he met.
Okay,
Like,
so they're all
just
true
chapters.
stories.
All true stories.
Unreal.
There are some amazing people in there.
Yep.
Yeah, I get a couple of mentions. But yeah, there's people who have lost love. There's all sorts of love. There's, the love of parents for children or vice versa. There's the love of partners. Yeah.
And what is the name of his new book?
It's just called Love Stories.
Love Stories.
Yeah, it's in a nice
Trent
pink,
Dalton.
sparkly cover.
Just in time for the holidays.
Yeah, it's really good buy for the holidays. If you know somebody who likes reading.
Yeah. Probably get it for my mother.
Yeah.
I need to get her a
Yeah,
good
it's a good
present,
mum
actually.
book.
That's really cool that you met him.
Yeah.
Just spontaneously like that.
I didn't know exactly who he was when I first met him, but by the second time I did.
Yep.
And I was like, oh boy. And
so did you just sit down in the street with him there and then and tell him?
yeah, talk to him about how I met my wife,
Yep.
Caroline, and he wrote about that in the book. The big thing for us was her not really being super aware of my wheelchair.
Yep.
Um,
But did you know she had a disability at the time either?
She said she had fibromyalgia and pain issues and had trouble walking sometimes.
Yeah.
It's changed and gotten worse in the years since
Okay.
then. So she mostly gets around in a wheelchair when she's not in the house.
Yep.
And she didn't used to. I used to have trouble keeping up with her. Now she has trouble keeping up with me.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I just told Trent this one little anecdote about our first date, and when she drove me back to my house late that night, sitting in the car in the driveway and talking, and she says eventually, "You going to get out?" And I said, "There's a wheelchair in the boot." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot."
So she'd obviously already seen the wheelchair when you went on your date,
yeah.
but then she'd forgotten about it on the drive home.
Yeah, and that was what the love story really was.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nothing was about the disability.
Yeah,
of the
awesome.
wheelchair.
Just about what's on the inside, hey, which is the main thing.
Yeah, the person.
100%. Amazing
Mm.
stuff. And how long have you been with your wife now?
17 years.
Epic.
Yeah. Oh, we just had our anniversary in September. This was
Congrats.
after I got out of hospital.
Yep.
Took her here into the city because we live up on the north side towards Sandgate, and we stayed at the Hyatt Regency,
Yep.
which we're getting to like a lot.
You're going back
We're
there.
going back there Christmas Day.
Yep.
I also had a gig on the night of our anniversary. I was doing a show with a mate.
Should you have been
Tim.
working on your anniversary, mate? That sounds a bit, hey?
She complains that I don't sing to her enough.
There you
so
go.
There
So
you
you
go.
booked a
I
gig
got
on
to sing
your
to her
anniversary.
on our anniversary.
Yep.
I had this show with my mate Tim McCallum. He's very, very accomplished and well known in his own right as a singer.
Yep.
He was on The Voice a few years ago. He got to sing the national anthem at the AFL Grand Final when it was at the Gabba.
It's pretty awesome.
Last
year.
Yeah, last year. Because they couldn't have it down in Vic.
Yeah. Queensland got
Yeah.
the AFL Grand Final.
Cool, eh?
Suckers.
And yeah, Tim's very, very accomplished. And we've gotten to be friends. Interesting backstory is that we both were auditioned for that same part in the Yes I Can video.
Okay.
And we didn't know each other at the time. And we were the only two people in the world that were auditioned for it. We're both from Brisbane.
Very cool.
He grew up down south in Geelong, but he's
Are you from Brisbane originally?
Yeah.
Yep.
I was born here. So, yeah, we sort of have this thing that we did in the show. We called it the Crooners, or he actually came up with most of the show development. I picked a few of the songs, and he sort of wove them together with a story. Wrote the dialogue. There was a bit of choreography. We had a couple of ballroom dancers join us for the show, and an Auslan interpreter.
Yep.
So we called it the Crooners. It was on at the Queensland Theatre on September the 18th, my anniversary. And great show. A lot of fun. We basically packed out the theatre.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're going to get, hopefully, to do the show 3, 4, maybe even 5 times during 2022.
Hopefully.
In different areas. So we've done it in Queensland Theatre, which is just nearby at West End.
Yep.
And we're looking at hopefully Ipswich, Toowoomba, Logan, maybe Redcliffe and Wynnum.
Awesome.
And I think they're kind of like at the entertainment centres for those areas.
Yeah.
Not sure of dates yet, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. There's a lot of byplay. We do this thing in the show where...
is there any place, sorry to interrupt, is there any place we can find out a bit more information about the show?
Oh, well, I couldn't possibly forget to do a shameless plug for...
No, mate, get it in there.
Tony D Music. So spell Tony Dee Music on Insta or Facebook, preferably Facebook if you've got it, because there's a lot you can't put on Insta.
I'll put links and everything in also.
Yeah, and when I'm doing something, I usually post it on there, whether it's a show or a gig that people can go to, or even if I'm just out busking, I say, well, I'll be out busking at the city today or near Roma Street Station or wherever. Yeah, we do this thing in the show where because we both auditioned for the same part and only one of us could get it, there's like this rivalry thing that we play up, even though we're really good friends. So it's like, oh yeah, yes, you got this, major award-winning ad that had 50 whatever million views on YouTube.
Definitely better to be on your side there.
Yeah, but he's had his own successes, and like he's a fixture. He over at his yearly Christmas carols, and very well known in his own community around Springfield and Ipswich. Yeah.
Wicked. We'll keep an eye out for the show in 2022.
Yeah, definitely.
The Crooners.
Yeah.
Crooners.
Yeah. We called the show... So the Crooners is us. That's who we are. We should call the show Swinging and Spinning for our wheels. And when we did it on the 18th of September, that was part of something called Undercover Artist Festival.
Okay.
Which was a disability-led music and arts festival.
Yep.
And they had a relationship, of course, at the time, being September, with the Brisbane Festival. So it got some good publicity in the lead up. So yeah, we had a good crowd there, and I've seen a few good reviews. So it was well received. Yeah.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
So what's plans for the rest of the day?
Rest of the day. Oh, yes. What time is it? Nearly 11. I was planning to wrap up my morning about this time, and I've got a gym appointment at 12.
Yeah.
So
how is your left arm feeling following the break?
The arm itself is good. What has taken the most time is just getting the mobility and range of motion in the wrist and the hand. The
coordination and everything back, eh?
Yes. Yeah, just doing stretchy things without discomfort.
Yeah.
And that's getting better and better all the time. I haven't gotten back to ice hockey this year, and they sort of broke up for the year because they only play during school terms.
Yep.
I'm looking at getting back into it next year.
Nice. How long has the ice hockey thing been going on?
3 or 4 years now.
Lovely.
Yeah. Canadian guy came and started it in Brisbane.
Yep.
A guy called Kelvin Mickelson. And, of course, ice hockey's massive.
Huge over in Canada. Yeah.
In fact, it's so massive they don't call it ice hockey. They just call it hockey because that's all they do. So, yeah. No, he's another legend I know, and started ice hockey in Queensland, para ice hockey anyway. And we play pretty close to home, so that's very handy for me.
I'll have to get down and check it out one time. I'd honestly really like to do that.
Yeah. A lot of the players actually come from up the sunny coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And apart from gigging, any plans for the Christmas period?
There is. Caroline and I are going to once again come here to the city and stay at the Hyatt Regency. We're coming in on Christmas Eve in the afternoon or mid-ish. And I've got a gig on Christmas lunch at the hotel. So we're staying Christmas Eve. I may get out and do a sneaky busking set.
Why not?
Down near King George Square if I can, if it's not pouring rain or anything.
So is busking, does it ever feel like a chore? Or
Sometimes it does. And I mean, days like this where it's stinking muggy outside, you don't really relish the thought of being out there in the sun.
Yep.
But another one of my little philosophies is that if you want to get results and success, you've got to be prepared to do stuff that other people won't be.
100%, hey?
So there'll be people out there who don't want to get up early in the morning and go busking in the heat and whatever else. So I will, and therefore I'll be the one who gets the results.
Gets the money, yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, I would, in this particular case, just like to be able to sneak out and do an hour or so of busking in the city with all the lights everywhere and the Christmas tree in the square and the big projection up on City Hall, with all the shoppers, simply because it can be done. I don't particularly need to make that extra bit of money this week. It's just, if it happens, it happens, and it's going to be fun.
It's always good to take advantage of that opportunity when it's there.
Yeah. I was saying to somebody this morning, I think the station master at my home train station, that it's great when there's no pressure on to actually make money. It can just be all about the fun.
Yep.
And meeting people.
Yeah,
saying
performance,
hello, saying
fun.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, spread the good word, hey. Spread the vibe.
Yep.
The cheer is the word I'm looking for.
We need it.
We do, don't we?
Mm.
Yeah.
It's been a interesting year, to say the least. So
interesting too.
Yeah.
Getting on now.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's wrap it up there, hey? Thank you very much, Tony.
All right, mate.
Awesome.
Stay weird, everyone.
Can you say, give it like a real good stay weird for the camera?
Stay weird.
Ow!